Welcome to Friday Takeaway. On the menu, two very different financial services companies, Revenue Group and Maybank. But first we look at Fed Chairman Jerome Powell said this week he expects the US economy to remain strong. But the ongoing US-China trade spat could complicate their forecasts, more so the risk of a protracted period of high tariffs which would offset America's growth momentum. Sources say Samsung is planning to introduce a foldable screen smartphone early next year, which is codenamed Winner. It features a 7-inch screen that can be folded in half like a wallet. Meanwhile, Jam City, the social gaming and entertainment company, led by one of the co-founders of MySpace, is preparing for an IPO and could seek a value of around $1 billion. And at last count, slippery fugitive Joe Lau remains at large, despite rumours that he's been arrested in China. In the meantime, though, Bloomberg states that the MACC has issued arrest warrants for Casey Tang and Jasmine Liu over 1MDB, though apparently they failed to turn up at MACC headquarters. As at 10 a.m, the index was down 0.4% to 1,742 points, but that still set 20 points up from last Friday's closing. Year to date, the KLCI is now rallied, and the KLCI is still down only around 2%. In this week's This or That, it's all about financial companies and risk appetite. On one side is Revenue Group, a tiny payment solutions provider newly listed on the ACE market, and on the other, Maybank, the country's biggest bank and the most valuable listed company. So are you safe or risky, big or small, or maybe even both? Let's dig deeper. Revenue Group is a cashless payment solutions provider that listed on the ACE market this week at a reference price of 37 cents a share. Founded in 2003, they've evolved from an electronic data capture vendor into a multi-channel payment solution provider with customers like Maybank and OCBC. Its largest customer, contributing more than a quarter of total sales, is said to be a leading mobile and online payment solutions company from China who have been solely using Revenue Group since 2013 to process outbound internet banking payments, where the sales value have quadrupled in that period. Analysts also say Bank Negara's initiatives to push for a cashless society should also help push profits. Today, their shares are up again by 4.3% to 72 cents, which at these levels means that Revenue Group has nearly doubled in value since their listing on Wednesday at a reference price of 37 cents a share. Well, first of all, why is their largest customer a non-disclosable name? Who are they and why are they such a mystery? Which is of course a risk because, as UOB Kehan points out, Revenue Group might overly depend on such major customers since these guys contribute over 50% of group revenue, which means trouble if they decide to ditch them. Plus, the agreements they sign are generally non-exclusive in nature, which do not prohibit them from working with competitors. Rakuten Research have called a buy on Revenue Group with a target price of 60 cents based on 17 times forward earnings expectations in line with the FBM Small Cap Index, though do note that at current levels, Revenue Group have shot past this target level. Maybank, 19% controlled by PNB, is both Malaysia's biggest bank by assets and at 107 billion ringgit, also its most valuable in market value terms. Well, following GE14 and the uncertainty over future policy measures, Maybank had been sold down to somewhere nearly just one-time book value. And a PE that sat somewhere near just 10 times earnings, which for a bank this size is really unjustified. Maybank has since rallied, but with PEs still at around 13.5 times current year earnings, remains reasonable given their massive franchise in consumer and investment banking as home as well as in the region. Today, their shares are down marginally by 0.1% to 9 ringgit and 80 cents, but one-year returns are still a respectable 8%. Earlier this year, Maybank had been shaken by its exposure to the distressed Singapore water infrastructure company Hyflux, while more generally in Malaysia, Bank Negara data showed that gross NPLs rose for a fifth straight month in May, even while overall system deposits were slowing down. AM Investment have maintained a buy call on Maybank with an unchanged fair value of 10 ringgit and 70 cents a share, because they like its attractive valuation after the recent heavy sell-down of the stock, diversified earnings, and a dividend yield of more than 5%, which is higher than its peers.